Hello everyone, this is Kesfem welcoming you to another tutorial. Our focus today will be on review of 2019 UTME past questions economics, questions 1 to 25. Let's do this together. Now the first question here is a demand which gives rise to the reverse, that's the opposite of the law of demand, is an abnormal demand. That's option C. For a normal demand, the law of demand states that the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded, and the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. But for abnormal demand, it is the opposite. As the price increases, the quantity demanded also increases. A very good example of abnormal demand is luxury good. Number two, if two commodities are unrelated, a change in the price of one will have no effect on the quantity demanded of the other. That's option B. We have two commodities here. For example, we have rice and we have iPhone. We can see that two of them are not related at all. iPhone is a gadget, while rice is a food item. So two of them are not related in any way. If there's any change in the price of rice, it has no effect on the quantity demanded of iPhone. Question 3. We have price 8 and 6 naira, and we have quantity demanded 10 and 12. The question is, if we move from 8 to 6 naira, the elasticity of demand is dash. To write our formula, elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand is percentage change in quantity demanded and divided by percentage change in price. So we solve the numerator first, that's the percentage change in quantity demanded. The new quantity demanded being 12 minus 10, the old one is 10 because the movement is from 8 to 6 multiplied by 100. That will be 2 over 10 times 100. 2 in 10 will give us 5. 5 in 100 will give us 20%. For the percentage change in price, that will be difference of between 6 and 8 divided by 8 multiplied by 100. Difference with 6 minus 8, we take the absolute value to give us 2. 2 in 8, 4. 4 in 100 will give us 25%. So our final answer, we divide 20% divided by 25%. That's price elasticity of demand is 0.8, and that's option C. Now to question 4. In a perfect competition, the market price is determined by the dash. That's determined by the market supply and demand functions. In a perfect competition, we have a lot of buyers and sellers, but none of them can influence the price. None of them can determine the market price. So it's the invisible forces of demand and supply that determine the price. And we have our demand and supply curve. We have the demand curve, this blue line. We have the supply curve, this red line. Now, you can see the meeting point of demand curve and supply curve. To my left, it is the price, equilibrium price. Why? When you take it down, that's equilibrium quantity. At that point, when the price is determined, the sellers cannot cheat the buyers, neither can the buyers cheat the sellers. So it's at that point that there's equilibrium, and that's how price is determined in a perfect competition. That's option D. Number 5, in the short run, the monopoly makes abnormal profits, as you can see in this diagram, where we have the marginal cost, we have the short run average total cost, and we can see where the abnormal profit is made. That's option B. The demand curve, number 6 now, facing the monopolist in the foreign market is inelastic. And the reason is because a monopolist in a foreign market practices discrimination. The price at the home market is different from the price at the foreign market. And when you look at this diagram here, we have the demand curve. This is the demand curve here, and it's lower than the marginal revenue. So when you look at it, a small change in price brings about a greater change in the quantity demanded. Then in that case, the demand will be elastic. That's it will be greater than 1. The correct answer is option A. Number 7, supply is a flow. Supply is a flow because it is measured over time. Stock is measured at a time while a flow is measured over time. And supply is a quantity of goods and services that its producer is willing and able to offer for sale at a given price over a period of time. Number 8, a rise in the supply of a commodity. As you can see in the diagram, the demand, you have just one demand curve. This is the initial supply curve, and this is the meeting point of this blue line and the orange line, and this is our initial equilibrium. Now, as a result of a rise in supply, that's we have a new supply curve. You can see the equilibrium now. See the quantity, equilibrium price dropped, reduced, while the equilibrium quantity increased. So the effect is that there will be a decrease in equilibrium price and an increase in the equilibrium quantity bought and sold. That's option C. Number 9, the method obtained by adding all the rewards of factors of production in national income is income approach. That's when you add the reward for land, which is rent, the reward for labor, wages and salaries, the reward for capital, which is interest, and the reward for entrepreneur, which is profit. So when you use that method, that's an income approach. Number 10, an economy in which the whole income is not consumed is referred to as a frugal economy. In a frugal economy, savings is encouraged. Less amount of income is spent on consumption. But for a spendthrift economy, it is otherwise. In a spendthrift economy, there is more consumption while there is little or no savings. So our answer is option A, frugal economy. Number 11, we have the arithmetic mean of 5, 8, 10, 15, 24, and 8. So we use the formula summation x over n. That's the formula for arithmetic mean. We have 5 plus 8 plus 10 plus 15 plus 24 plus 28. Everything will give us 90. When you count the numbers one by one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Divide by 6, and that will give us 15, which is our final answer. The correct option is option B. A method of analysis that draws conclusion from data rather than general principles already known is inductive reasoning. For deductive reasoning, you are drawing conclusion from general to specific, but for inductive, is from specific to general. For example, if I say the price of bread is high, very high in state B. Now we have different towns, we have different villages in state B. Now if I use, let's let's take for example a particular local government, maybe let's say since state B we have local government B1. Because the price of rice is relatively high in local government B1, I draw the conclusion and generalize it that the price of rice in the entire state B is relatively high. That's an inductive reason. Number 13. The money market equilibrium is defined as that's when the demand for money and supply of money are equal. In the money market, we have demand for money and we have supply of money. Number 14, an economic condition in which much reduced economic activity coexists with inflation is referred to as stagflation. That's where you have less economic activities happening at the same time with inflation. And the opposite of stagflation is slumflation. For slumflation, the economic activity is much and is existing at the same time with inflation. Number 15, an instrument used by the central bank to fix commercial and merchant banks' total credit to domestic economy is credit ceiling. Ceiling is like a limit. You are placing a limit on the amount of credit that commercial banks and merchant banks can make available to members of the public. For monetary policy, it has to do with it encompasses open market economy, open market operation, liquidity ratio, moral suasion, and other methods by which the government through CBN controls the amount of money in circulation. Fiscal policy talks about using tax and expenditure instruments to control the economy. That's either expansionary or contractionary. Open market operation deals with buying and selling of securities. So the answer is option C, which is credit ceiling. Number 16. Restrictive monetary policy is designed to curtail, that's to reduce aggregate demand and to overcome inflationary gap. When the amount of money in circulation is restricted, is reduced, it will reduce the consumption level of consumers, and that will in turn bring down, reduce the aggregate demand, and it will help to overcome inflationary gap. The average cost curve and the marginal cost curve are U-shaped, as you can see in this short run, and flatter. You can see is somehow open there. It's not U-shaped in the long run. Due to economies of scale. When there is economies of scale, the cost per unit, that's average cost, reduces because the firm is producing on a large scale. The most important cost curve for the firm is marginal cost. That's option A, MC. And the reason is because marginal cost determines the profit maximizing outputs of a firm. Remember, to calculate profits, MC must be equal to MC, which is marginal cost, must be equal to marginal revenue, MR. So MC is very important to the firm because it determines the level, the output at which the firm will maximize profits. Number 19, in the case of highly or close complementary goods, that's for goods that are jointly demanded, the indifference curve is is L-shaped, as you can see in the diagram here. Let's take, for example, we have phone and SIM card. That's a good example of complementary goods. The demand for phone will automatically lead to the demand for SIM card. One of these is not an assumption of the cardinalist theory of utility. Remember, we have two theories of utility. We have the ordinal and the cardinal. In the cardinal school of utility, it is believed that utility can be measured. Utility is measurable. But for the ordinal school of approach, it is believed that utility cannot be measured but can be ranked. So the consistency and transmissibility of choice is not an assumption of cardinal theory of utility. Option D. It is the level of satisfaction that the consumer gets that determines whether he or she will consume more of that commodity. The shape of production possibility frontier is determined by dash. Production possibility frontier is the same thing with production possibility curve PPC, and you can also call it production possibility boundary, that's PPB. As you can see, in this case, we have coconut and we have fish. So it's determined by the level of technology. PPC is the possible combination of two commodities that can be produced considering the available level of resources and technology in the country. Our answer is option D. And as indifference curve shows equal level of satisfaction at all points, that's for the consumer, as you have here. And isoquant shows equal level of output, that's option C. So it means indifference curve is for the consumer, while isoquant is for the producer. Which of the following is not a cause of unemployment? That's question 23 now. I For education, of course, will cause unemployment, lack of skills. If people don't have the required skills, they will not get a job. Good government planning, that will not lead to unemployment. If government is able to plan well, the unemployed will definitely get good job. Corruption, that's a major cause of unemployment. So our answer is option C. The demand for labor is a derived demand. The labor is demanded because there is demand for goods and services. You can see car. See, we have two different cars here. and we have workers, laborers working here. If there is no demand for car, there will be no demand for labor. Labor will not be employed. So labor is demanded because it is required to produce other goods and services. Our answer is option A. To the last question, which is where we are going to stop for today. The use of government income and expenditure instrument to regulate the economy is termed public finance. Public finance talks about the government income, that income and expenditure of government at all levels, the local, the states, and at the federal. Our answer is option D. With this, we have come to the end of today's class. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Once again, I am Kesfe. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment on the video.